how can a company then sort of prove to its customers, to its consumers, that its algorithm is working equitably and fairly? I mean, and we don't need to talk about how to actually prevent bias in the data. I mean, how can a company express this to the people they're serving?
I think you've gone to, perhaps one of the most difficult issues. I'm not worried about AIs taking over and runaway robots, but this is a real issue. And the reason it's an especially difficult issue is because as the algorithm gets more and more sophisticated, it learns, becomes more complex, and frankly, very difficult to unpack why it made the particular recommendations. And if it's made a recommendations that you get credit for your house and you don't, she wants to know why. And that is a challenge of unpacking that algorithm. And let me say, I don't think it's easy. I think simply opening the box and looking inside isn't going to tell you very much, because in fact the algorithm is not the one we started with. It's evolved itself. So I do think this is a bit of a challenge for the industry to try and figure out the rules for algorithmic transparency.
So the way we manage that is we stay really close in the innovation labs with cutting edge technology research. For example, that exact topic Peter talked about is being studied at MIT by the AI lab and the CSAIL. And I think there is a role to continuously ask those questions, but also work really closely with the researchers that are trying to unpack these difficult questions.
And I think it's important to say that consumers have a little more power than you might think in this as well, right? So when you have humans making these decisions in the current systems, we have choices, and in a free market, we're able to, choose who we trust, who we don't trust. And as Peter said, it's going to be more difficult because of the complexity of the algorithm. But at the end of the day, I'm confident that the market forces will, providers that provide the capability that consumers are looking for will rise to the top.
And remember, it is likely that in the end, that as we get very good at this, the algorithm will actually be less biased than human beings. The algorithm won't be racist. It won't have attitudes about men and women. It'll be fairly objective. And look, the issue was raised in the very first panel about the accident that just happened in Tempe. It's important to remember that on that same day that happened, there were probably 99 humans killed by other humans in accidents. So it was 99 to 1 in favor of the machine.
Yeah. Right. That's a super important point, and I think we're always going to be concerned if there's any software glitch. We're always concerned about any, certainly, tragedy of human life. But I think that you have to assume that the benefits far outweigh the potential dangers.
Well, what do you say? I know this was brought up earlier. What do you say when people like Elon Musk say that AI is more dangerous than nukes? Was it? Yeah. Yeah.
Well, someday maybe. Right? We're a long way from that understanding of the brain sufficient to give an algorithm, a robot, the kind of autonomy and capacity to make judgments that a human being has and to do really evil things. We got a lot of bad people to deal with long before we get to bad robots.
And speaking of bad people, I think that statement's an interesting statement, because if you unpack it, yes, there are things that are very dangerous today, but we have systems in place and responsible legislators and governments that control those things. And we need to have the same kind of process going forward with artificial intelligence.